Hey YouTube, this is Drifttiltheend and I'm coming at you with another video. Today I'll be discussing basically sales, a good salesman and a bad salesman, kind of some examples on my expectations. So let's talk about a bad salesman first. So the key points of a bad salesman is either they'll have a bad item and they hype it up to be great. They'll have hidden fees, or they'll actually completely lie to you to get you into a contract. Number three is, of course, they're going to be rude. They're not going to be very helpful to you. And basically with bad salesmen, a lot of the times they do well short term, but long term they fail totally miserably. And so let's go to a good salesman, which number one, they will not lie to you and they're going to tell you all the expenses up front. Number two is they're going to have a good product, and that is the very most important part, because if your product isn't worth what you're charging, that's why these bad salesmen tell you all hype it up to be way better than it is, because you're never going to sign it. So if you're going to be a salesman, at least sell a product that is actually worth the cost that you're charging. Also, good customer service, being helpful if they have any questions. You want to get back promptly. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is I'm a salesman. I am a reseller. And so I sell good products. And if there's any flaws, I'm going to list it. I'm going to tell you up front. If there's not really any hidden fees because they pay it in lump sum, but if I was selling cell phones or any type of service, I would tell you about the hidden fees right up front. Because if you don't want my service, that means it's not worth it, or you can get a better deal. Then I need to work on getting better service or actually getting a better price for you. So with reselling, I have little, problems, but sometimes they'll call me and they'll say, hey man, you forgot to give me the HDMI cord, and I swear I gave it to them. And, so I'm going to work a conflict resolution. Now, of course, if I think they're scamming me, I got to be careful. Because say I got an Xbox One that I'm selling, it works perfectly fine when I give it to them. I've already tested it, and they call me back saying it doesn't work, or they text me. I don't do anything through voice, I actually only go through text. So they text me and they say, hey, it's not working. I got to be careful because they might have had a broken one before they contacted me, and they're giving me a different one back, and now I'm screwed out of money. So you don't want to get screwed, but at the same time, you want to actually contact them back and say, hey man, it was working. Let's try to resolve. Let's do the best we can. And then you got to see if they're genuine people and if you really believe it. If you don't, then you could just say, hey, you could ignore them, or you could tell them, hey man, it was working, it works, and leave it at that. But you don't want too many, problems unresolved, the best to your ability, because it's going to come back to bite you. Definitely with reputation, number one. Number two is, they can contact you from a different account name, and they can confront you and whatever they want to do to you, So you got to be careful. But yeah, just be a good salesman, people. Don't lie to people and get them in contracts if you're, selling services like phones or internet or home security. Be upfront. You're going to get a long term. You're going to get a good reputation. So for the short term, it's going to be slower for you because, if you do have that higher cost or not as good value because you're not hyping it up and lying, at first it's going to be slower for you. But you know what? When you build and you have that good reputation, everybody's going to be like, hey man, like if I was a cell phone provider, carrier, they're going to be like, hey man, you got to go through this guy. He's really nice. He's cool. He's going to be right up honest, and you're going to get a lot of references, and that's going to boost sales. And for the long term, everybody's going to like you pretty much, other than the scammers out there. And, you're going to be looked at as a good person in society. Also, morally, you shouldn't be lying to people and get them in a contract, because I know somebody who I'm not going to name, but he was a salesman, and he would lie to people. And he wouldn't tell them about hidden fees that he already knew about. And he wouldn't care, because you know what he'd say? Well, they should have looked on the contract before they signed it. They shouldn't have listened to me, which is true to some degree. But at the same time, I don't feel it morally correct to do that to somebody. And you know what happens with him? He goes from job to job. You know, he stays there 6 months to a year, and he's to the next place, and he's to the next place, and he doesn't mind doing that. But you know what? He's burning a lot of bridges, even with his friends, because, you know, he was working at Sprint, and he contacted everybody about, you know, getting the phone through him. He'll hook them up through Sprint, and he burned a lot of people that way. And, you know, then he went to a different job. You know, he was at Comcast, which is like an internet provider, and TV and cable. And, you know, he burned more people. So he's burning all these bridges, you know, even with friends over, you know, money. And, you know, his aspect is, hey, man, I got to feed my family. I got to feed myself, and everyone else comes last. But how I see it is, you know, it's just another way to scam somebody. It's no better than, you know, taking money out of their wallet without them knowing. You know, it's theft, in my opinion. But that's just me. And so I want long-term success. Short-term, I could care less for. And if I'm not a good salesman, I'm not going to be a salesman. I'm going to go to another avenue, but I'm not going to sit there and rip people off over and over and over and think it's okay. And I don't think anybody should. But yeah, that's just a little video about salesmen. Be a good salesman, people. Please just think about the concept of morally, and also think of the concept of your benefit. I mean, long term, you're going to be on top. That's what's going to happen. So if you like this this video, thumbs up. You didn't like it, thumbs down. Comment, send me a private message, whatever you need to do. You have questions. Thanks for viewing my video. I'm going to have a lot more coming in the future, so stay tuned, turn that notification on, and you guys have a good day now. Thanks.